I think there's a lot of folks who are sort of relieved and joy that the decision came out as most of us had assumed, that the parish owned the property, and we can go forward with the process of removing the monument from in front of the courthouse. And so I think this is a sort of small day of justice for individuals who have been part of this process for so many years and involved a lot of folks.
Some have said that this judgment today paves the way to remove the Confederate monument, but it's not that cut and dry, is it? There's still potentially some legal matters to resolve.
Well, in my eyes, I can't speak for everybody, but I tend to follow sort of the judicial process, even though I'm not a lawyer at all. But usually when a judge denies an injunction, what the judge is usually saying is, here are the merits of the case that you have presented, and I'm making this ruling on this injunction based on the merits that you have presented, and I'm either going to grant you the injunction or deny you the injunction based on your likelihood of success at a trial. It's not saying that the UDC couldn't come back and succeed at a trial, but it's highly unlikely that could happen. And so I think that it's up to the UDC to get with their legal counsel, assess where they are. But I think the judge was very deliberative and very declarative in that it's a very uphill battle for them to prove that they actually own the property.
And you have been very confident from the beginning of this process. Being that you have been so confident, have you already had a plan in place? Have you talked about a timeline? What does the timeline look like now if we are not going to see another legal challenge to remove the monument?
Right, and I want to be clear. It's just been more of a, I've always been of the belief if you have the facts, you have the facts. And so we've always sort of looked at the facts. A lot of people look at different things, but we look at what the facts are. I'm approaching this from there's no, we're not coming in tonight or we're not coming in next week to remove a monument. What I see this is as an opportunity for the community to turn the page on a dark spot in our history where we paid homage to the Confederacy and the South and the things that it stood for with the Civil War, slavery, and Jim Crow. But this is an opportunity for our community to have an inclusive conversation on how do we go forward, how do we create a Caddo Parish where folks are not remember us by the monument outside of our courthouse, but what we did in the aftermath of this process.
So if the land that the monument currently stands on is parish land, and if the monument is not parish property, but the land is, what do you view the next step in the process to be? Does this become abandoned property that is now assumed by the parish? Who?
Well, I'm of the belief that it is the parish property. I've always held that position. That was my position when we took the vote. And I think that's what the judge decided today, is that the UDC could not prove that it was their property, and they could not prove so much that it wasn't our property. And so I think that particular issue takes the if out of the situation.
But as far as the physical monument itself goes, if that is now sitting on parish land and has been for over 100 years, is now that monument itself parish property, or whose is it, and where does it go next?
Well, if you look at the response that our legal counsel provided in response to the motion for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction, you'll read in there where our legal counsel makes the argument that we could technically make the argument that the monument is ours because the commission granted them the dollars to build it. They never said, here's your monument. That's not something that we're looking to litigate here. That's a whole separate set of facts. What we are proud of is the judge has rendered a decision about the land and has dismissed the preliminary injunction and denied those injunctions. We can move forward with moving the monument off of our property.
I guess that's kind of where I was getting to, is where right now, if nobody comes in and says it is ours and we want to take it from you, where will the parish look to move it if it is their property? Is it basically, is it possible that the parish just throws it away?
Well, that's part of the process of what I'm saying, that we can use this, as I've told folks, we can use this as an opportunity not to have a discussion about, some folks will say you're tearing down history or you're destroying history. I don't see this as an opportunity to destroy anything or tear anything. I think this is an opportunity to build a bridge for our future. And part of building that bridge is a dialogue on where does the monument go, where do we put it. Those kind of things need to be discussed in a very constructive and respectable manner.